Mike, how are you doing? Good, you? That's not too bad. You're up. Oh, I know. That's actually. Are you ready?
Yeah, the sound is on.
Good morning. Morning. So I really only have one brief issue to bring up, although I would preface it with, I believe we're at a potential crisis with staffing in the public defender's office, because if I am not able to get fully staffed, there's a potential for ILS to lower our caseload. If ILS lowers our caseload, that's more files that are getting done by assigned counsel and not by salaried attorneys. So a segue into that is that ILS is trying to supplement the settlement implementation contract. There are two prongs to this. There is funding for the public defender's office. There's funding for the assigned counsel office. The total they're trying to add to the contract is $137,000. What they have suggested for the public defender's office or proposed is $80,000 for attorney retention stipends. And I know we had a discussion earlier that was 40,000. They had amended that, but not sent me the proposed budget. They amended it to 80,000. So they're proposing 80,000 added per year to the contract for attorney retention stipends. And I know this is going to need further discussions, and that it's going to require an ILS or an amendment to this contract that will have to be approved. But I wanted to bring up the staffing issue, and that ILS is proposing to offer more funding for attorney retention.
And that's something that can be looked at with the upcoming budget.
Well, I think they want to add it. It can be looked at with the upcoming budget, but they want to amend this contract effective now, starting with January 25, I believe. And that they would add funding to 25, they would add funding to 26, and this contract expires in December 26. But presumably what's happened with ILS is anything that they've added to a contract has just continued and rolled into the next contract. So I imagine if they add the 80,000 to this contract, that would roll into the next contract.
Is that per year or for the 3-year contract?
Per year. The total to add to the entire contract's 137 a year.
How is that equal? 8?
Well, there's money that's being allocated to the assigned counsel. So the total to the contract, 137 a year. The total to the public defender's office, 80.
So the 57 is going to sign council.
Yes.
So the 80,000, you're looking at raising all your existing salaries to retain them, or are you looking at another position at that time?
I believe it is salary increases to retain.
And how much are you available?
There are 8 attorneys. I'm 9 on staff, so I have 8 assistants.
1 vacancy.
2 vacancies as of yesterday. Kevin Barden has moved on, left state.
What happens if they withhold funding in future years? And those salary increases are gonna be our burden then.
Possibly, but I will say with ILS, I'd have to double check this, but originally with the settlement, and I believe with the continuation of the settlement implementation, I believe there are provisions that if you do not provide the funding, then we do not have to continue with what was being funded. So, if the funding stops, I think we have to have another discussion about what obligations we would have moving forward. But until the funding stops, they've been pretty good about, fulfilling their obligation.
Hell, can you do this above and beyond their salary?
So one thing, I thought I heard you say attorney retention stipend.
Yes.
So if we do it as a stipend and not change the salary schedule, if the funding goes away, the stipend goes away without affecting the salary schedule. I know Melissa and Danielle don't like stipends very much, but this might be an appropriate use of a stipend because if the funding goes away, then you're not stuck with the increase in the salary.
Melissa's got to
I have a couple
rebuttal.
other questions. Well,
I already know how
we
you
always
feel,
get
but
stipend conversation.
I like
But-
stipends where the money.
We have a retention in every department with attorneys.
It's not specific,
So
it's just.
We have
It
it
isn't
in every
specific.
department across the county,
Yeah.
but so can we add part-time attorneys? Would that qualify with ILS and would that help the caseload and help retain the staff that you have?
Part-time attorneys would help. ILS is not interested in funding part-time attorneys.
Okay, so then my other question, so my concern is that the salaries in the public defender's office are also equal to attorneys in the county attorney's office and the DA's office. So to just increase one department because we have funding for it and not the other two, I have concerns there, how that's gonna ripple,
Well, I can give
especially
you,
mid-year.
I can give you, and, you know, I don't fault Mike for trying to get more money for his attorneys, but I can tell you Warren County has gotten a lot of aid prosecution grants that they're putting into attorney salaries, so I can certainly see if that was available to Tony, he could do it.
So then it becomes a race to the
Mike's-
finish.
Well, it's not even so much a race to the finish, I'm saying, you know, Mike's got funding available, Tony may have funding available, I have no way of getting.
Well, that's the thing. If we only give raises to those departments that have funding available, it becomes a major issue as far as.
I don't think all are gonna work for Mike, no.
Sam,
Yeah, I guess my question is, so if we don't have. You can't retain your attorney, the work gets put out, what's that gonna cost us addition?
That's
Well, what's it cost roughly now for those guys to, gals?
If it has to overflow to assigned council, we're paying $158 an hour.
Yeah, it's a blank.
Plus
check.
mileage.
It's just a blank check. Slabs. So what's, any idea what that averages out to?
as far as, I guess I'm not exactly sure the question.
We have a development to increase to try to keep an attorney.
Yes,
We know we pay them. We have to have it go to assigned council to do that work.
I believe I believe it probably easily exceeds the nominal raises we're talking about, and I don't mean to,
No,
I'm just saying, if we're talking about, say, a $10,000 raise on the base for the attorney. My speculation is that we would probably spend a lot more than that if the files that the vacant attorney could be handling have to be handled by the assigned counsel.
So just to give you an idea, because we've crunched these numbers a few times, there's a couple of members of the assigned council panel that have offices in Albany, Rensselaer. They come up to an appearance in family court. Assuming an hour travel each direction, 60 miles each direction, plus whatever time you put into the appearance, you're probably looking at $500 before they even set foot in the courtroom.
so that was the point I was trying to get at. I think that's much more expensive than we had to pay what we had on board.
How does an increase in pay increase productivity? So have too many cases and we have to go to assigned counsel, it's gonna happen whether they're getting a raise or not. And I understand that attorneys across the board could use more money, but I'm not sure that this is going to solve the problem of the need for outside counsel.
I'm not either. I'm not, so, I mean, they certainly, well, I have two vacancies and I know it'll be easier to hire if it's a higher salary. But I can't say that, geez, let's give the attorneys some more money and that'll fix everything. No. But they do need, if we're going to try to keep salaried attorneys, we need to raise the base salary. And I do think it's more cost effective to keep a salaried public defender office. If we wanted to start crunching numbers on our alternatives, we can do that, but,
So your focus is on
it's just
raising
getting,
the salary enough to fill the other two positions.
that's it, is to have a competitive base salary to be able to hire vacancies.
What is that increase, Mike?
Well, I just basically was thinking, there are 8 attorneys,
10,000.
10,000 apiece, but
But
there's
again,
a
if you're gonna
wrinkle,
hire two more,
there's a wrinkle, as there always is a wrinkle with ILS. They don't fund family court. So they don't wanna fund raises for family court attorneys. They wanna they wanna make raises for criminal.
So you'd only give raises to some. I
I haven't even
think
suggested,
they're causing more problems than they're
they. I,
solving.
After yesterday's call, that's all I do is call no problem.
I
in my
caution us
mind-
doing this mid-year.
in my mind, my thought was, it's make it simple, a $10,000 raise.
I think we should look into it.
For the 8 attorneys, but their response to that was, well, remember, we don't fund family court and we don't, if you have family court only attorneys, they would not be eligible for this retention stipend.
And yet your attorneys are all just public defender attorneys. We don't
Yeah, and I mean,
want them-
the family court detail is no less complicated than the criminal
Right,
detail. In
right.
many ways, it's more complicated. So,
I'd like to make a motion that we table this and study the situation not only in the public defender's office, but across the board for attorneys.
I don't know if we need to have a table, do we, Dean, because we haven't had a motion come forward yet.
Right.
So,
You can put it on,
But I
put it
do-
on the agenda for next month.
but I
again
do
for
think we
discussion.
had a lot of questions come up that we need to have some answers for, and it's sure.
Commissioner McCure will need direction to advise ILS that the board isn't currently on board with their suggestion.
and we've had, they knew this was just gonna be starting the discussion.
Right.
Right, we've got $80,000 that we've got to decide the best way to spend it and not make the most people mad and do the most good. That's a magic act right
Right,
there.
and really, it's 137,000 that they want to add to the contract.
Right.
It's certainly ultimately, obviously, the board's decision. So if there is a existing contract, they want to add 137,000 to the existing contract per year, being this year and next year.
What would,
It expires next year.
what would the committee like for information coming back? Nate,
Yeah,
you-
well,
you've had your-
Like, do all the attorneys do family court at some point?
Yes, frankly, yes.
Well, then
Everyone
why-
has to at least occasionally
And then
take.
you could give them each $10,000 and just say it's all for the criminal work.
Yeah, no, I can adjust staffing. I'm just
'Cause if
making
every
it clear
attorney does-
they
if
don't
every-
want,
Yeah, but if every attorney does do family court,
it's more than every attorney would need to do criminal. And I have a few attorneys that don't do criminal because they do family court and that's just what they do. Those attorneys could certainly start doing criminal so that this would qualify for the retention stipend.
there's 10,000 reasons to.
But yes, but that's what it's gonna require is changing the staffing pattern. Because I do have dedicated family court attorneys.
Daryl, do you have a question?
Oh, no, it's more of a statement, I mean. They've gotta realize, the state's gotta realize they're creating equity. And they're assigning winners and losers here with this purpose. So
paying one against the other to just keep paying. It's done on purpose.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna apologize to Mr. McCure in advance because he will not like this. But for me, the additional ILS funding will barely make up the gap in salaries that we already had. So what happened with ILS is they gave us money to increase 4 or 5 part-time attorneys to full-time, right? So we got an amount of money to change a part-time attorney to a full-time attorney. That's been the funding. It didn't keep up with the COLA increases that this board gave those attorneys. And it didn't keep up with the adjustment that you made to those salaries a few years ago to get them to the semi-respectable level. So I would argue that that money shouldn't be spent on anything new. That it's money we should have gotten to keep up with the COLA increases already. And I know that Mr. McCure probably will hate that, but the truth is, their ILF funding didn't keep up with the COLA. And this money for me would just gap some of that COLA funding.
I see that as I'm saying the same thing. He's saying they didn't keep up with the funding, and this is what you gotta do now. The bigger issue where I think he's coming from is that 137,000 a year you will lose with each vacancy. So you're trying to keep them full to not lose more by what goes with.
I do believe,
I bet each vacancy would cost us that much.
I believe there's that aspect. Unlike
That would be my concern.
Unlike a staffing shortage in Dan's office, which is certainly a problem, a staffing shortage here could cost us even more
Everything
than.
to sign council would. At the, at the free checkbook rate, just
Well-
sign your own check.
Probably a higher cost.
If the retention program worked. And it might, if the retention program worked, it would be cheaper for this board to increase all the attorneys in the county. It would still be cheaper to give $10,000 to every attorney in the county than the $750,000 he had to find for assigned counsel. It would still be cheaper. If it actually retained attorneys, because we already have one example of somebody who left Mike's office to go to private practice because that attorney can make $158 an hour as an assigned counsel attorney, rather than the pittance that we're paying attorneys. And I shouldn't say pittance, that's disrespectful. They're not a market equivalent wage that we pay, because we can't, right? But I would say to this board that it may in fact be cheaper to give 10,000 to every attorney and staff. If it was in fact to keep cost containment on the 750,000, you had to shift to assigned counsel.
Well, then now you're gonna have to bring us that number.
We may have to sit down with Mike and really work.
No, but I mean, all the attorneys, if we were to do that, I mean.
Tony, how many do you have?
Physically or our.
On your staffing
We're
plan?
down to, staffing pattern, so.
7, 10,
Nine,
9.
nine.
Or if it's full. Raise
So-
the bone.
20 is $200,000. If that $200,000 saved you 400,000 in assigned counsel.
Right.
You won all day long.
And there's 80,000 offsetting it here.
So
And maybe, as you suggested, maybe there's grants in other areas that would offset it.
there may be some additional revenues we can seek out, but it may in fact be cheaper for this board to adjust across the board, all the attorneys. If it actually retained attorneys, if it actually worked, and you save that $158 an hour, then all day long make that investment.
I might have been wrong in saying to table it. It's exactly what I was asking to do. What are we studying?
Yes, sir. I don't disagree with that.
So you had your hand?
I'll just, for some, the other thing is beyond retention of who we have, we actually might even fill some positions that have been empty for a while. Because right now, I mean, I think you're working on 2. Do you have 2?
I have two assistants that had one vacancy with the exception of a 2.5 week period going on 4 years.
And I think Mike, is your department, and you said 9, which is the total positions. How
Yep.
many bodies in the chair you got?
7, we're down 2 right now. We're only down 1 for the last few months. Now we're down 2.
You think that the two leading, you haven't posted a bunch down there.
Yeah, I believe if there's a salary increase, it will make it much more competitive. And it will be easier to fill with the salary increase, obviously.
I don't recall, but 750 that we put in for outside counsel is the full cost, or is that our share of a bigger number?
That was the gross number offset by like 230,000 in state aid, so it's still $500,000.
So, okay. Is that happening?
So how do we handle the situation where ILS only wants that to go towards criminal cases?
I think I can staff in such a way that everybody handles criminal files.
Supervisor Hahn, if you were to do it across the board, it wouldn't matter.
Okay,
If you adjusted all the attorneys, it wouldn't matter. You would just get funding for some of them.
But alternatively, I was considering that if it's not, I try to have the staffing pattern fit with the attorneys, their skill set. And we have some very good family court attorneys, and that's what they do. If it's going to qualify them for a retention stipend, they can start doing some criminal fines.
is there a money stream that goes to family court attorneys?
No, they're leaving.
Yes. Stop taxes.
ILS is not, they have some grants that are offering funding for family. But they are not offering funding that comes even close to the funding that they're offering for criminal defense.
We give more help to the criminal than we do working for a family going through family.
In response to a lawsuit, yes.
It started on a reform the criminal representation first. They do, I don't wanna say they're not helping family, but they've got different grants and such. But the funding doesn't come even close to the funding that they have available for criminal defense representation.
I'd kind of like to connect the dots because this is why we have a big increase facing us in our upcoming budget. This is all related to TSS. It's all the same group of people going through all these systems. And ILS does nothing to make anything cost effective. Every time they want to give you money, it's to expand the system, which we seem to be very good at in every facet. And I think we need a contraction of some kind here in the near future in order to make it possible to actually live here and not increase the number of sales in the foreclosure on. And that will only create more homelessness. So somewhere the big picture that the state has given us with the policies they have is created a cycle that is just taking money away from the average taxpayer to pay for all these problems. It's 10% of the entire population of the county, maybe not, maybe less than that. This is a huge amount of money on the percentage of the population. It's all going in a circle right now. And it just, every time ILS throws in more money, it expands the amount of tax dollars we have to throw in. And that's a problem that needs to be fixed in all of one. We're not having any luck there.
But in this situation, we could actually come out to the good.
For 30 seconds. Next year, you'll just see it all happen again. Till the policies change, this is just gonna keep happening, isn't it?
Is that a question?
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably.
Yeah.
This is the thing, you have my thing. I don't mind.
Okay, I knew this one.
We've had a discussion.
So we're coming into budget season and this gives us something to really look at here, so. Is there anything else?
No, I just wanted to make sure that the issue was on the table, so we can address it.
That's the question.
You go forward. Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Mike.
Thank you.
Warmed it up.
Now it's time count now for the rebuttal.
That's so sure here.
You're bringing money though, right?
Yeah, but that's, we are bringing money to this. We're looking to recognize our revenue, which is money we receive from the state for the difference in the increased cost of the vouchers. Basically, the old rate was $75 an hour, now it's $158. The state pays half of that. We recoup it quarterly, and we recognize it as revenue in our budget. And we'd like to move it to our family court voucher line, which we originally budgeted $300,000 for, and now we're down to 5,000. So, but we think we can make it through the year because there's another one coming at about $150,000, so we think we'll be right on track with the revenue.
So what, the piece that I want to fill in for you is, based on the first quarter claim, business is good. So they've under budgeted the revenue for the year. So if we extrapolate the first quarter's revenue for 4 quarters, he'd like to take that projected surplus and apply it to the deficitly funded line. So basically what he's doing is, right now, our best guess on the revenue is we're gonna far exceed what's in the budget. So he'd like to say, okay, my new number for revenue is X, and I want to use that additional money to fund a shortfall down in the point fours, which is obviously better than going to fund balance. Unfortunately, business is good, and first quarter claim was like $150,000 in just the gap funding.
We need to move it to finance. Need to go
Yes, sir.
to Finance.
Second.
A second. Just want to say on Brian's behalf, because he's gonna say it, this is money back, and yeah, we're getting money back, but we were paying half of 75 before. Now we're paying half of the $83 increase.
Yeah.
So,
Just, but we're getting money back.
but you won't catch up.
Until you-
We're still on budget.
All in favor of moving to finance?
Aye.
Thanks.
Thank you, Tom. Safety.
Morning.
For 3 more minutes.
Just a couple of quick updates, with the EMS grant. The first 2 items are just kind of gonna be combined. We are moving forward with that fast and furiously. The last thing we're waiting for some equipment that we have to order to be able to finalize that, and the state to finalize the contract on our grant, which they're slow. The good news is we have our CON. We still have a couple of the ALS operating items that we need to be able to finalize and have all the equipment on hand to begin. So we're right there, very excited to get moving with that. Number 3, personnel. So this will be a request, which I know Danielle has on her agenda to go to personnel as well. Is that all for the EMS program, and this right now from the beginning will be 100% funded by the grant. We're requesting to add 6 per diem positions to the staffing pattern under the title of emergency medical provider. From there, just like we did with the fire investigator training, there's a total of 6 in there. If we break them up by provider type, so EMT, AMT, and medic. At the beginning, we are only hiring medics. We just know that obviously at some point in the future, we may have to use other personnel. So right now, we're just looking for a total of 6, all which will be medics, and the 3 on the title by grade, they will end up as a grade 11 for emergency medical provider EMT, grade 12 for emergency medical provider AEMT, which is a level 2 ALS technician, and emergency medical provider medic grade 14, which that's going to be your paramedic or critical care medic, which that will be our focus at the beginning when we start the ALS first response program.
You want to move with personnel?
I'll second.
Yeah, seconds. Any discussion, question?
This is totally funded for how long?
This is totally funded for the life of the grant, which right now is a 9-month grant. So I think we're about April. And we were told that there may be a potential for the extension because of how late contracts have come out. So obviously, as of right now, when the grant money runs out, we have no money to fund anything past that. That's why we. diem to begin with.
So we wouldn't have to let people go, it's just, we wouldn't be able to schedule anybody.
Correct, unless we found funding to be able to continue. And obviously, this, the whole idea was to be able to start something and prove whether or not there was a need for the county to support this. You know, based on what we all know in your own communities, depending on where you live. There's a need, right? Obviously, we wouldn't be doing it and we wouldn't have made it this far if there wasn't.
All in favor, aye?
Oh.
Thank you.
That's it. I do just have one more item. There we go. It was not on the agenda. It's not, it's not an act. I just wanted to let everyone know, thank you very much for your support of the threat assessment coordination group. So we actually held last week our first tabletop of the Warren Washington County TACT. And it was very well attended. We had over 20 people there from all the different agencies. And extremely positive feedback. So that let that group be able to exercise the training that we've been through, some of the case review studies and strategies with all the partners there. And I know there are a few faces in the room that were here. So it's great. Washington County was well represented and we appreciate the opportunity to continue to be a resource for our partners. So thanks. Thank you. Thanks.
Almost made it out before the morning was over. One past morning, so 12 by should get all done.
Yeah.
God. How are you?
Okay,
How was your vacation?
very nice.
All right.
Yes, caught lots of fish. Good time. Really sorry I couldn't make it last time. But I had to go fishing.
And go fishing. You code breaker.
Just priority.
I always show up. Never miss it. I get it. Okay. So there's some extras for whoever else might want. Maybe I'll take one back.
Thank you.
All right, so this is the fire inspection procedures. I do have a couple small questions on this, but we got the basics of it done here. So first page is the actual procedures, then there's page 2, 3, and 4. The wording for the 3 notices that we're going to send out that we spoke about the last time. In those, I increased the cost. So initially it was $75 and I told them that if they could contact us within the 30 days, it would be 100. And then the second one, I said 100, 125, and then the third one, I told them that, if we didn't hear back from them, they were gonna be getting a summons for court. There'd be a $200 surcharge in addition to that previous $125 fee. I did change it. This is one of the questions, the one that I presented before, I'd said that we send out the letters and then we wait 2 weeks. I would like to switch that to 1 month. It would still result in the same timing at the end. But, just logistics wise, I would like to just do it once each month. There's other reports that we do once a month, I can run them all at the same time, right, it that way. So that's one change, and then, one question I had for you, Dan. So if we go to step 4 on there, they haven't talked about, or they haven't responded to us at all, we go out for the scheduled surprise visit. I'm really surprised when we told them 3 times we were coming. Would we have to send them an order to remedy before we could send them the summons? Or could we went out, nobody was there, or they didn't let us in, and we just say, okay, here's the summons. Because giving them an MTR would give them an additional month.
I mean, you're just looking for an inspection, and see how you do a remedy, you told them 3 times what you're doing, what you're going to do. Perfect, so at least at this point, I would say, or someone's will have to have further discussions.
I gave you an example below.
if the inspection was due on the 7th of January next year, we'd send out the initial one in October. The second one November, the third one in December, and then we would show up on or around the actual due date. So I've included the fees and stuff that we spoke about during the last one. Folks want to take a look at everything and let me know if I missed anything. We had said before, no charge for churches was thrown out there. Are we still all okay with that?
Yeah, please do.
Okay. And do we want to charge for municipal buildings?
That's a good question.
Thank you.
I don't believe you should charge Hartford. I just.
George Hartford and no one else.
Because what we do now, like if somebody's building a salt shed or something, supposed to get a permit for it. And then we review it, we do all of our inspections, they get a certificate, but there's no fees on that. So, you know, if you wanted to do the same thing on this, say there's town hall, we go out and do our normal scheduled inspection, but there wouldn't be any fee.
I mean, it seems crazy to charge for municipal, because all you're doing is charging your taxpayers for that. They're already paying for everything else.
So no.
No municipal. Or,
Yes.
I'll be able to flag those in our system.
Does the committee feel comfortable approving what John's presented, or do you want to, you're shaking head yes, so motion to
accept the policy.
right, there's a second?
Yeah, second.
You have a question, Dean? Any more discussion?
I was picking on our guy.
That library. Well, if you look at the FIID on there, it's number 1, so. I went to the top list.
I'd say,
I figured you were gonna ask that.
It's just free library. Nice try, you slid on that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Alright.
I wanna commend John. There's a contractor in this county that is super difficult.
What's her name?
Huh?
What's her name?
I'll tell you later. But, I don't know why, he lived in Hartford 20 years ago. I don't know why he contacts me, but he's just really difficult. John has handled it excellently. He's the example of you can't make everybody happy. So I just want to thank John for that.
You're talking about the contractor, not me.
Yeah. Thank you for clarifying.
Oh, I want that to show up in the notes correctly.
Yeah.
And before you leave, well, we're gonna still have you up here again, but before we get to the next thing, and not to prolong the day, but I've seen 3, 4, 5 different notices are all, does our public know that as of next year, they have to build all electric new houses and stuff?
Not through me. It's something that we do need to get out there, so I do have the email list that I can send out to the contractor.
But
There must be people who aren't leaving this state fast enough.
But that doesn't apply if they're refurbishing the new house a month later.
Right now, for the time being, it's you can still remodel, you can still replace, repair, you already have some.
Or remodel the new house a month later.
A day later, get the COS and start remodeling.
Is it possible to build it out without a kitchen and then change your mind after you've got a CO?
What's that? Sorry.
Build a house without a kitchen, get the CO, change your mind, hey, you could use this room as a kitchen.
Got
Well,
expensive to
work
leave,
it out.
like, out every day.
I was just thinking all the power outages we never have in Washington County, we have all electric heat, so.
We're doing all electric cars. Too long.
That's what good trucks for.
So. I think that Sam is gonna join us up here.
I am.
You might have. Perfect. Continue polishing the water cooler.
Well, we're not in executive session yet, so you do your potential. Yeah, so what's.
Both sides.
I would like to call the, Washington County Board of Supervisors Personnel Committee meeting to order. This time.
All right, accept the motion to go into executive session for.
discussions regarding the medical, financial credit, or employment history of a particular person.
Moved by Mr. Nolan, Daryl second. Oh, sure. All in favor, aye?
And I'd like to move the Personnel Committee into executive session for the same purpose. Reasons by each other. Everybody, Dave moved it, Jim seconds it. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.